Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? It is Thursday evening, almost the weekend. You can almost get excited. No more work, or if you have children in school, it is almost time to have some time off. Well, for me, it's almost Friday afternoon, but we have yeah, it's this late already. It's already 9 o'clock. Hey, Charisma, Melody, Insightful One, DJ, Marilyn Landis, Lori, hey Lori, Melody, Danny, Mr. Dan Yee. Good to see you all. I sound like someone killed my puppy? I'm so confused by that. I don't know what that means. Does that mean that someone did kill my puppy? I don't have a puppy though. Hey Edget, how are you? Good to see you. All right. So, a story that came out overnight. Really sad. How is this continuing to happen? I don't really get it. But another child with autism found in water. This is like the fourth one in a week. Really is. Hold on, let me load it up. All right, here. All right, let me get the camera on. Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you. Um Hold on. No, the microphone sounds okay. Hold on. All right. So this came out from St. John's deputies, or I guess it's St. John's County Sheriff's Office said 7-year-old Adalyn Lamon has died. They said after life-saving efforts of first responders on scene and at the hospital, Adalyn was tragically pronounced deceased. They said it was a tragic accident. No foul play is suspected at this time. But originally it was down here. They said this is a missing child. They were looking for Adalyn. They said Adalyn, who is autistic and nonverbal, but responds to her name, was last seen on Cody Street. She was wearing a Lilo and Stitch nightgown at the time of her disappearance. They said SJSO deputies were searching for her and urged the public to locate her. And then it said here, St. Johns County Fire and Rescue said that she was found in a pond behind a home. Drones, helicopter, and canines were used to search for Adalyn. And they said St. Johns County Sheriff's Office has reported that the 7-year-old had been located and transported to an area hospital where she later died. So I don't know what's going on. This is literally like the fourth or fifth one in just a single week. A single week, another child. Very, very odd. I'm still waiting to hear back whether we can get those specialists from universities in Melbourne to come on and talk about these type of children ending up in water, why that might be. I haven't heard anything back yet, but they are busy people. Maybe, hopefully, eventually we will. Because I mean, is this just what happens across the country? As soon as it is summertime, we just go, okay, there's going to be a bunch of autistic children that just drown. You know, oh, it's 4th of July. That must mean we're going to have a heap of water deaths of, I don't know, 3 to 7. A lot of them have been in the age range of 4 to 7. I think one of them, a few of them this week, two of them were 6-year-olds. This is a 7-year-old, and there was a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. So it seems to be mostly in that age range. Yeah, me too. Hey, Wendy R. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, I know. Not again, right? Hey, Lindy, Angela. Good to see you. Yeah, I don't want to see any more children dying either. It's not what I want to see. Um, that's it. That's all I have on it, though. It just came across my news thing earlier today when I woke up. Who is beeping? I hear people beeping outside. 1 minute. Gambler is off to buy you coffee? Okay. He can do that. He's probably at the grocery store. Uh, I have to move on for this because I don't have anything else other than what I told you. I'll just check one other. Here, 10 Tampa. I'll just go show you a bigger photo of Adalyn Lemon. They said was originally reported missing on Tuesday around 1 p.m. Sheriff's office said she was non-verbal child with autism, and that was her little photo. Wait, that's not it. There you go. That's it. Hopefully, we'll find out more from the sheriff at some point. What? 50% of autistic wander, and I draw. What do you mean? That they all make it to water, or just at least half of them have a instinct to wander? You have to be more specific. But I hope that those doctors will come on and maybe can tell us if there's anything that can be done to help, either make water safer or teach autistic children how to diagnose a danger in water, or if they can tell us what autistic children see or do that we can't understand. That's sort of what I want them to come on. No, we know they're drawn to water. That's not what we're worried about. More worried about, like, are there any solutions to the issue? And what do they see that we can't? So that's why I've now contacted 3 different universities in Melbourne, hope hoping, at least one of them will get back to us at some point. They all specialize in pediatric, autism and autistic, researching and, treatment. So not treatment, but like, different things to help help the children learn or, with their barriers, that type of thing. All right. Guys, one moment. Sorry about that. My monitor just showed up. My new monitor to replace this broken one just showed up. All right. To your next story. Unfortunately, it's a day of children being ill, unfortunately. The next story is about another child. What is going on? It says here infant dies after being left in hot car in Arizona. Neighbor arrested. They said the incident was reported in the Cortez Lake area Tuesday night. A juvenile neighbor is facing a charge of negligent homicide. A juvenile neighbor. Interesting. All right, let's play it.
We begin tonight in Yavapai County, where the sheriff's office is investigating the death of a 6-month-old baby in Cordes Lakes. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. For 12 News at 10, I'm Karina Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. Deputies say the baby was left in a hot car for several hours before finally being found by someone in the area. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly heard from that child's family tonight. He joins us from Cordes Lakes with details on this tragic story.
The mother of the 6-month-old spoke to me off camera. She's absolutely devastated. She also told me that it was the babysitter who forgot the child in their car. Around 9 p.m. Tuesday night, this street on the west side of Cordes Lakes was filled with sheriff's deputies. The Yavapai County Sheriff's Office say someone saw a 6-month-old baby left in a car and believed to be dead. When they arrived, they confirmed the reports. I spoke with a woman claiming to be the child's mother. While she didn't want to talk to us on camera, she says her neighbor was watching her baby for her while she was at work. On Tuesday, the mom says her neighbor dropped her off at work around 12 o'clock in the afternoon and went home with the baby, claiming the neighbor forgot the baby in the hot car for 7 hours. The mother says she came home expecting to see her child. Instead, she saw blue and red lights on her street and learned her baby was dead. The sheriff's office says they cannot confirm this information as it is still under investigation, but I went to speak with those neighbors. Before I got to the front door,
with a local news station, we're covering the situation last night. Just asking if you have anything that you'd want to tell us.
No, I don't right at this time.
Someone at the home telling me the sheriff's office is still investigating this death, and they were told not to talk to anyone about it. I was then asked to leave the property. This is the second time this summer where a child was left unattended in a hot car and died because of it.
It is a very serious situation.
Jeanette Fennell, the president and founder of Kids in Car Safety, says Arizona is ranked 4th in the country for the amount of kids that have died in hot cars, saying the majority of them are accidental.
Over 50%.
Deborah Nolan, the founder of Don'tLeaveMe.org, agrees, saying from the data she's seen, most of the time it's babysitters or people who don't regularly watch children that end up forgetting them in the car.
Because you're not part of the day-to-day schedule of that child.
Encouraging parents who have babysitters to check in on them frequently, especially right after you leave your child in their care.
Those little things might seem inconvenient or a lack of respect for the person watching the child, but in 52% of those cases, it could save a life.
At this time, the sheriff's office says no one is in custody as it continues the investigation. We're in Cordes Lakes. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
So they said 50% or so are people who are not related to the child or not in the regular routine. Just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we had that story out of Arizona of a father who deliberately left his child in the car for, I don't know what it was like 5 hours. The car automatically switched off the air conditioning after about an hour, and the child was in there in a heat wave for multiple hours, and the child died. That guy was in jail. Hold on, let me check if I hope he's still in jail. Let's have a look. His name is Christopher Schultes, and his daughter died. Yeah. I'll show you that very quickly. They said the temperature in the car when the girl died in this other case a few weeks ago was 108.9 Fahrenheit when the girl, she was 2, was found in Arizona driveway while her dad was playing PlayStation. And there's a photo of that family. This is the father here. There's the mom. And now they've lost the little girl, this little girl here. Her name was Parker. And her dad thought it was a good idea to leave her in the car because he didn't want to disturb her. I think, isn't that your job as a parent to disturb your children because it's a safety thing? Not just be like, "Oh, she gets really grumpy when I wake her up, so I just wanna leave her in a scorching car because, I don't wanna get yelled at from my kid." It just seems, ridiculous. Charisma says in newer cars, it'll tell you to check the back seat if there is weight on it. That's a great invention. What? And Danny says, "Did you all see the 16-year-old daughter of that guy dropped a dime? Said he did that to her too for hours. Weird." Yes, it is. His wife is a doctor. Yeah, I think she's the doctor. Um, he was charged with second-degree murder and child abuse after police found that he left the car to nap for 3 hours and then play PlayStation or something. I know, he left her in the car to nap for 3 hours. Well, I don't know what he was doing, but they said the county medical examiner said the temperatures reached almost 110 F or Fahrenheit in the car. He said he told police he left Parker in the car seat inside the vehicle with the engine running and air conditioning on because he did not want to wake her up. Why not just pick her up and take her to bed in the house where there is more air conditioning? It doesn't make any logical sense. Oh, yes, my child loves to sleep in a vehicle. That's why you're the father, because you have to make hard decisions like, the very tough decision of waking your child up. I hope you never have to make harder decisions than that in your child's life. That seems to be too complex for you. Uh, I want to find out if he's still in jail. I hope so. I know his wife, this lady here, I don't have her name, but she was advocating for his release from prison so that he could help her bury the child. And I was like, "Are you sure about that? Are you sure you want him released from prison so you can, bury the child with a funeral and stuff like that?" I'm like, "Wouldn't you want him far away from the children? He just proved he was incapable of looking after a small child." And then you're like, "Please release him so he can return home." Uh, Denial is a river in Africa. No. I think it's horrible. Anytime children are left in a car, I don't know. I like these new ideas of these cars that can tell you if there's something in the back seat, even if it's a bag of shopping, or a child. That is a great idea. I don't know if it can solve someone who deliberately doesn't take a child, but maybe in the one of the case today. But there's not a ton of details about the one today. Oh, that's the wrong one. There's not a ton of details except to say that the person who was responsible for the child at the time was a juvenile. And, you know, there's some funny stuff going on. Let me grab. Sorry, let me grab a different link about the child today. Here, new details released about. Yes, here. Hey, get out of my screen. It says here, disturbing new information was released Thursday about the death of a baby who was left in a hot car in northern Arizona this week. The 6-month-old child was strapped into a car seat for nearly 7 hours before he was found dead on Tuesday night, according to the county sheriff. Few details were made available when authorities first reported the incident on Wednesday. The initial report incorrectly stated the victim's age was 8 months. It started when a neighbor gave the infant and his mother a ride from their home to Prescott Valley on Tuesday, and the baby fell asleep on the way back. The mother asked the neighbor to drop the child off with his father, who was due home soon. But the neighbor allegedly forgot and left the baby in the back seat until around 2 p.m. The car was exposed to the sun on a day the high temperature in the area was 100 degrees. The father called the mother at work at 8:45 p.m. and asked when the neighbor was bringing the baby over. The neighbor then rushed next door to get the father. They pulled the child out, called 911, and tried performing CPR, but it was too late. The YCSO said Thursday a criminal investigation is underway and the case would be submitted to the county attorney. It was the second hot car death in Arizona this year and 17th nationwide. A man whose 2-year-old daughter died after he left her in a hot car earlier this month was arrested on second-degree murder and child abuse. That's that other fella, Christopher. We read about him a second ago. They haven't quite explained how or what the time frame is between the mother and the neighbor and the child being in the car to that point where she says, "Oh, drop the child off at his father." Then what happened between those hours and the point where he called, not the neighbor, but the husband called his wife at work and then was like, "Hey, where's the baby?" What happened in that period of time? And how did that young person or whoever was control of the vehicle, how did they go, "Oh, thanks, yeah, I'll drop the baby off," and then just somehow went into a cryostasis and just went, "Oh, what child?" Until someone was like, "Hey, did you drop that baby off?" Is smoking a lot of marijuana? Like, what is going on? Yeah, I don't really get it. I know I don't. Why is it not the first thing you would do? You drop the mum off or whatever. She says, "Hey, can you take the baby to the dad?" Isn't that the first thing you do? You don't go, "Hey, I'm gonna drop back home. I might make a sandwich, and then I'm gonna sit down and watch Ricky Lake for like an hour, and then I'll drop the baby off. You know, I got some time. I might even have a shower as well, and then I might go get some Maccas, and then we'll go get a beer, then I'll drop the child off." It's like that's the first thing you do. Danny says, "I leave a note on the back door when Fuji is hanging in the backyard, so don't forget him in the heat." Yeah, poor puppy. He doesn't need to be in the heat. Yeah, so I want to know more about this. So the time frame is 2 p.m. to 8:45 p.m. at night. From what I understand, even at 8:45 p.m. at night, the sun in Arizona is only just starting to go down, because it's quite light there, even at the evening. Uh, That's a long period of time. You're talking 6 hours and 45 minutes that child was in the car. And at no point did the neighbor go, "Oh, yeah, I had a child with me earlier today." I don't understand how someone can be that absent minded about such a major responsibility that it's not even their child. That's a good idea, Wendy. He's an old man. All right, let me see if I can grab you anything else about this Cordes Lakes. All right, let's go to Fox 10. No. Let's go to KOLD.com, see if they have anything.
More about the death of a 6-month-old baby who was left in a hot car. This happened in the Cordes Lakes area. Authorities say the boy's mother asked her neighbor for a ride to Prescott Valley along with her 6-month-old. She then asked that neighbor to drop the baby off at his father's house. The neighbor says they got home, they parked the car, went inside, and forgot about the boy who was strapped in his car seat in the vehicle, not realizing that they had left them there. That is until the father called asking where his son was hours later. Detectives believe that that infant was in the car for 7 hours before he was found. As of tonight, no one has been charged, and that investigation continues.
Yeah, same story. I don't see much new information. I just want to check the Arizona Republic and see what they say. They say the 6-month-old child, only 6 months old. It really is just a tiny baby. Cordes Lake after a neighbor of the child's parent left the infant inside the vehicle for more than 7 hours. On Tuesday night after 9 p.m., authorities arrived at the home where they found a 6-month-old child unresponsive inside the vehicle. The child was pronounced dead at the scene. I just don't get it. Police learned that earlier in the day, the mother asked their next door neighbor to ride into the Prescott Valley and requested the neighbor drop off the child with the father. The neighbor arrived at their home at 2 p.m. and reportedly left the child inside the hot car until 8:45 p.m. The neighbor arrived at their home at around 2 p.m. They really need to. I know maybe this is forming part of the investigation, but it seems to be the gap between when the neighbor, when the mother requested the neighbor to drop off the child to the father, and then this point here, the neighbor arrived at their home at 2 p.m. That would be the first place I'm looking at. Like, what the hell happened in this time? And if I'm the cop investigating, I literally want your second for second thoughts on everything you did in those moments. Like, if you just go, "Oh, yeah, I just drove and I turned the car off and I left the car," I'd beat you over the face with a baton because I'd be like, "No, more detail. You need to tell me every little thought you had because it's not normal to leave a child in a car when you just spoke to the mum and she said take it to its father's home and drop it off." Like, I don't know. Did you have a bunch of fentanyl? Did you have all the marijuanas? Because how did you forget about a child in the car? That's not even your child. You only had one thing to do. Drop the child to its dad. Let's see if it has any other details here. It says around 5:15 p.m. on Thursday, YCSO announced a neighbor has been arrested and charged with negligent homicide of the 6-month-old child. The child had been left strapped into the car seat for 7 hours. A criminal investigation remains ongoing, with the case to be submitted to the county DA. So there we go. We'll find out more in the future, I'm sure. Yeah, that's what I mean. No one checked on the baby. In 7 hours, the guy didn't go, "Oh, yeah, wasn't I driving a baby around earlier? What did I do with that? Did I put it in the bin? No. Did I leave it with its mum? No. Oh my god, it's in my car." It's just makes no sense. Peekaboo, hey Peekaboo, how are you? Peekaboo Cockatiel says, "Hello everyone. Sorry I'm late. You can dock my pay." I will. I will do that. The $0 an hour you get, I'm gonna dock you 100%. Yeah, no one checked on it. I don't get it. Right. There's something else here that we're not being told. There's some bit of information that the police haven't released yet. For them to be able to charge him with negligent homicide so quickly, there's something there that they haven't given to the public for sure. It has to be. Danny, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking possibly maybe something like that. I'll let you know if more details leak out about this. I will let you know. So we're going to change topics for a second. Last night, which was an interesting night, I got my hair cut. No one noticed yet, but I did. I got my hair cut. Uh, Unsolved Mysteries season 4 was released, and I don't know if anyone sat down last night and watched it, but Ping did, and it was very interesting. Although the first episode was boring as hell, the other 4 episodes are pretty good. They had 2 unsolved crime cases that I had never heard of before, and I've read thousands of true crime stories to you. I've researched a billion. I've watched an absolute crap ton of documentaries on true crime. But these 2 I'd never heard of before, and apparently they're huge cases. One is in Canada, one is in Maryland, something like that. I'm going to show you one of them, and it is honestly bizarre. All right. So one of the episodes is based on this, and it's a woman's severed head found. It's Pennsylvania, PA. A woman's severed head found in Pennsylvania woods, embalmed with red rubber balls in the eye sockets, may be linked to the black market for organs. So apparently they talk about it in the episode. A young boy is walking in the woods around 15 miles northwest of Pittsburgh, December 12th, 2014, and he comes across a human head. And it says here, police had appealed for help to identify the woman after she was found, but despite nearly 30 leads from the public following publication of artist renderings and a bust of the woman's head, she remains a mystery. Now, as you can see in this guy's hand, these are the little red balls that were put in her eye sockets. These tiny little red things here. And here is the artist representation of what the woman may look like. But up until today, they don't know who she is. And they don't know where the rest of her are. They don't know where the rest of her body is located. And up until, what is it today? The 1st of August, 2024, a decade later, no other body parts have turned up. There's been no legs, no torso, no arms, nothing. Just her head. It is, and these little red balls in place of her eyes. Very, very strange episode. I would recommend you giving it a watch if you want to. Here, these are a couple of different artist renderings of what she may look like at different ages. So this is a little bit older with different hair. This is her a little younger with hair tied up. And yeah, there's that little red ball again. And that's her a little older with shorter hair. So yeah, let me see if I can find the press conference for it. The press conference would be very interesting. Press conference. Let me just see if I can find it. No, I can't. But here's a very old story from about a year after she was located. It says exactly 1 year to the day after a woman's embalmed head was found in a fairly remote area of economy, she was properly laid to rest. A small group of investigators who have been working the case gathered at the Beaver Cemetery and Mausoleum Saturday morning to hold a funeral service for the woman they can only call Jane Doe. The woman's head was found in a wooded area off Mason Road. At this point, investigators have little to go on. Despite exhaustive efforts to identify her, no one has been able to come forward and tell police who she is. Solving the mystery of her identity is the first laborious step in figuring out what happened to her and how she ended up where she did. Investigators agree it is unlikely the woman was from the local area, given how much attention the case has received and how widely distributed a sketch and sculpture of her likeness has been. Shortly after her remains were found, the DA said they would give her a proper burial once investigators had gleaned any possible information from her. They have reached that point a year after she was found. Um, Yeah, they just don't know. Here's that bust that they made. Here's the actual thing, not a sketch of her, and that's what they believe she may look like. So I'm thinking maybe this is a slightly older woman, maybe in her 50s to 60s is what I would look at maybe. Yeah. And there's the different investigators and police taking her coffin into her funeral or out of her funeral possibly, but it looks like they just got out of the back of a hearse, so maybe into her service. But they end up laying her to rest, and still to this day, they don't know who she is. Penguin says, "Really, Ping? It's not that unusual. He or she is on her way to drop off the baby." Yeah, but I think that could be understandable if you're the parent, because parents get sidetracked or whatever. But this person was literally just told, like, do one thing, and most people, 90% of people, would be like, "I have a baby in my back seat who is not mine. The first thing I want to do is complete the responsibility given to me because." I don't wanna be caring for a baby for longer than I have to be. So, the first thing I would do is make sure I complete that task. I think there's some information there that we're not being told, though, and I think it'll come out in the coming days once this person goes through the court system a little bit. Yeah, Unsolved Mysteries Season 4. Good work, Gambler. I'm glad you made it back home. JDR says, embalmed means she would have gone through a funeral home. Or it could have meant that she went through a, like, what do they call it? Like, I'm not sure the word. Like, people who sell body parts, they often embalm certain body parts too. She, I think the reason they think she may be part of that is because they can't find the rest of her, and they think maybe part of her was sold. But you know what's interesting? I wonder, you remember how a couple of years ago, especially around the time of this article, there were two places, one in Arizona, one in another state. One was a funeral home, one was a place that dealt with donated bodies, but both got busted for not dealing with human remains properly. I wonder if her head is part of one of those places that was selling body parts. Like, they were doing it under the table. It wasn't, it wasn't legit. They got raided. A cadaver, maybe. to use the tools. Maybe, could be. I wonder if I can find that. It was this place in I'll find it, but they were basically keeping body parts. Just they were sending them all over the country in like FedEx boxes and saying that it was for educational, universities and stuff like that. And it really wasn't. They were sending it to private people's addresses. Like they're like, you want to buy a head? Sure, $500. Hey, you want to buy a woman's reproductive area? Sure, $350. Like they just didn't care. Let me see. I think it's this one. It might have been Colorado. Yeah. So it says a former Colorado funeral home owner was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison on Tuesday for defrauding relatives of the dead by dissecting 560 corpses and selling body parts without permission. Megan Hess, 46, pleaded guilty to fraud in July. She operated a funeral home, Sunset Mesa, and a body parts entity, Donor Services, from the same building in Montrose, Colorado. The the 20-year term was the maximum allowed under the law. Her 69-year-old mother, Shirley, also pleaded guilty to fraud and was sentenced to 15 years. Kosh's central role was chopping up the bodies, according to court records. Hess and Kosh used their funeral home at times to essentially steal bodies and body parts using fraudulent and forged donor forms. Hess and Koch conduct caused immense emotional pain for the families and next of kin. The federal case was triggered by a 2016-2018 Reuters investigative series about the sale of body parts in the US, a virtually unregulated industry. Former workers told Reuters that Hess and Koch conducted unauthorized dismemberment of bodies, and a few weeks after a 2018 story was published, the FBI raided the business. Yeah, and this was not the only one. There was more than that. Let me see if I can find the original thing for it. So I wonder, maybe the lady with the eyeballs came from a place like this, and someone bought her head and then didn't want it anymore, disposed of it, was worried they were going to get caught with it, and just chucked it into the woods, maybe? Let me see if I can find. Let's see if I can find the FBI raid. Oh, they actually did a documentary on it called "Cremains Unknown." I had no idea about that. I wonder if it's any good. Let's see if I can find a. Here. Can't find a video, but what I can find you is the DOJ released a statement about it in 2023. This is probably about her sentencing. And they said, yeah, she was sentenced to 20 years in prison. But I just wonder if that is it a situation like this one or the one in Arizona, people cutting up bodies that they don't have any right to, and that's why they can't track her head, is because it came from, a service like this where they're not supposed to be doing that. Trust Summer says heads will roll. Oh yeah. You don't remember seeing funeral homes selling body parts being advertised, and you don't pay attention to commercials. Well, I don't know what part of the world you live in, gambler, but I hope they don't advertise that on TV. Oh, wait, he's talking about something else. Gambler says, has anyone seen the commercial for the vehicle with the backseat reminder? They've been showing a commercial with the dog being let out of the back door. Oh, yes, I've seen that. Yes, I have. Oh, that's freaky. I hope that doesn't happen again. Just Summers. So maybe it was a situation like that. Maybe it was something in that particular area of depraved criminal activity. But yeah, so the other one was, let me find it. The other episode was The other one was a Canadian one, and that was very interesting because it was a woman who was found in her own basement. She had died, but there's no forced entry. No one left any DNA. There's no weapons or anything, except for a piggy bank. And then they couldn't figure out one, how she died, two, who would have wanted to kill her, and they couldn't find any evidence that it was like her husband. He came back clean. They actually excluded him from the investigation, and they still to this day don't know who killed her. I'm going to show you more on it. That was a pretty rough shot of an explanation, but let me just find it one. All right. Yeah, her name was Amanda Antoni, and she was on. Yeah, there's a bunch of articles about it because of the episode. I don't know if I can play this trailer, but let me see if I can find a news release for her. Global News CA. Okay. Oh wait, we have to watch an ad first. Oh, do you want an Annabelle coat? And it says Vine Apparel? No, I don't want that. All right, let's skip it.
A young woman who truly loved life missed tremendously this time of year.
She loved Christmas. She absolutely loved it. I remember at Christmas one time she dressed up like Cousin Eddie off the Griswolds.
It's been more than a year since Amanda Antoni's death, and while her family doesn't have the young, vibrant 31-year-old around to celebrate, they may now have some answers.
We're always thinking about, how alone she was and how scared she must have been.
Antoni's body was found in the basement of her Castle Ridge home in October 2015. The grisly discovery was made by her husband Lee, who had been out of town for several days. Initially, police said Antoni's death was suspicious, with signs of violence in the home.
Well, the cause of death is blunt force trauma, and there's several ways that could happen. There's things with the scene that could be construed as violence, and it could be also accidental things out of place. May have the appearance of being sinister, but can be explained away as well.
But now her family says Antoni's death was likely an accident, caused after she fell down the stairs.
The hardest part on the whole family, and we've all talked about it, is knowing that she didn't die instantly. There's evidence of her being down in the basement for a while by herself. A very unique case, very strange that they had to bring other agencies in. Profilers, biomechanics, all kinds of different things.
With this break in the case, relief. A murderer isn't at large, but closure is still hard to find.
Why didn't she come up the stairs after she fell if she was conscious and alive down there?
Trace Nagai, Global News.
So what I understand from the episode, the family don't believe it was an accident. And they show some of the crime scene footage on the episode. I don't know how you could do that to yourself, but I mean, strange things do happen in life. I don't know. It was pretty gruesome. There was a lot of blood everywhere. I I mean, I guess anything, like I said, anything's possible, but they still were never able to determine fully what actually happened though. They couldn't figure out if she like hit her head on the wall or on the floor. Did she just slip and fall down the stairs? The other thing is there was a dog, a black Labrador in the home. They're like, how come if she fell and the door was open, why did the dog not go down the stairs and check on its owner? They're like, if you've ever had an animal and it knows where you are, it will come down and check on you, especially if you're hurt. Like animals have a real sense when humans are not either feeling well or they've hurt themselves, they'll come down and lick your face and try and make you feel better. There was no paw prints in any of the blood, so the dog never went downstairs to check on its owner. And no one really heard the dog barking at the door or, making a fuss. Although they did hear a weird yelping sound the night they think she died. They heard the dog scream out in sort of, they reckon, almost like pain or being frightened or something, and they said it was a different sound the dog made than what it normally does. Like the neighbors were like, we hear the dog all the time, we know what it sounds like. They said that night that dog made a really odd noise, and they said it was different to anything they'd ever heard before. Here, let's go to Distractify or Distractify, not Fly. That's a different site. They said here her death continues to fascinate the people of Calgary and beyond. Here's the latest update. Beside the fact that evidence pointed to a violent death for Amanda, police ruled it accidental in December 2016. As per the Calgary Herald, they kept in touch with Amanda's family and continued to diligently work on her case before finally turning to Unsolved Mysteries in 2020. As homicide investigators, it's our duty to seek closure and provide victims' families with answers without a shadow of a doubt. This was the first time in the Calgary Police Department worked with Unsolved Mysteries. They were hoping the more eyes on Amanda's story might cause someone to come forward with information. It's a unique opportunity if we need to reach a broader audience and if we have cases that are unsolved or we need more assistance on. They said based on the crime scene, it looked as if an assault had taken place. After steadily investigating Amanda's death for 14 months, the Calgary Police Department ran out of avenues to explore. Although they labeled it an accident, the scene of the crime felt like anything else. This was the bloodiest scene I'd ever walked in on, according to Sergeant Trent Peterson, the first officer to arrive that day after Lee called police. Pieces of a broken piggy bank were found on the basement stairs, as well as next to her body. The rest of the piggy bank was sitting on a shelf leading to the top of the stairs. There was a significant bruising on one side of her face. It looked as though she could have been struck by the piggy bank. Upstairs, Amanda's cell phone was discovered on the floor next to an overturned dining room chair. There were definitely signs of a struggle. So it looks like someone was in there. There was a struggle. She somehow made it into the basement. The piggy bank was smashed and broken, yet they somehow think she did this to herself. According to Staff Sergeant Gregson, this is not what one would usually find if a person accidentally fell down some stairs. So that speaks to why this is so unsolved, or why there's so many questions that do remain outstanding. The biggest question he has is, why did Amanda not attempt to go back upstairs? If she was injured and in the basement, why not go back upstairs? Yeah, it makes a good point. Maybe she was incapacitated. Apart from getting answers, Staff Sergeant Gregson says he wants to be able to give Amanda's family some closure. Of course, at the heart of all of this is a very loving, caring family who just wants to understand what happened to their sister and to their daughter. Yeah, it is very bizarre how she made it into that basement, how she ended up injured. And yeah, this is the other interesting thing. In the episode, they detail her body looked like someone had beat her up with a baseball bat. Like, she was bruised all over her body, especially on one side. But they said during the autopsy, they didn't find any broken bones at all. No fractures, nothing. She was just severely bruised, but no actual breaks. Wendy R says, "Who is sure the husband was away from home all this time?" Yeah, it's something we haven't talked about much. The husband was not at home at the time. He came home and found her. He came home. I think he went to bed or something and then woke up and then went looking for her and found her in the basement and then called 911. But they actually checked into his. He said he drove far away uh from the home and then came back later. The detectives actually retraced his steps and they actually were able to find him on CCTV footage far away from the location during the time they think she died. And they couldn't find any evidence that he had, you know, hired a hitman or, you know, entered into an agreement with someone to pay them money to hurt the husband or something. Sorry, Roy. I'll look at that in a second, Mr. Roy. The husband? You guys really think so? He was ruled out of the investigation years ago. I mean, it's possible. So Lee is the Lee is her husband, is the one that everyone is talking about. The police even suspected it was him at one point because they just had no one else to look at. They're just like, it has to be him. And they said their relationship was quite rocky. They had a lot of arguments and that type of thing. But they did they did rule him out eventually. They said here, here. They said things changed in October 2015 when Lee came home from a work trip to find Amanda's body lying at the foot of the basement stairs. Her story is now featured in an episode of Netflix's Unsolved Mysteries. Authorities are hoping it will move the needle on a truly baffling case. Let me see if I can find anything, another news item I can play that'll detail a bit more of it. Let's see, Calgary. All right. Calgary Police Service did a little update for this episode. Let's watch it.
My name's Staff Sergeant Sean Gregson, Seangregson, with the CPS Homicide Unit. In 2015, we were called to investigate after a woman, later identified as Amanda Antoni, was found deceased in her Northeast Calgary residence. Amanda's death was initially thought to be suspicious, and over the next 14 months, investigators spent countless hours poring over evidence and consulting with experts. Throughout the investigation, detectives sought the expertise from our own cyber forensics unit, our forensic crime scenes unit. Our investigators also worked closely with the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner and a biomechanics expert and the RCMP Behavioral Science Unit to review the evidence in this case. Ultimately, in December 2016, the death was concluded to have been the result of a fall down the stairs and believed to be accidental. However, despite this conclusion, some questions remain unanswered. As homicide investigators, it is our duty to seek the closure and provide answers to a victim's family with answers without a shadow of a doubt. In cases where questions remain, we do everything in our power to uncover the truth. In the years following Amanda's death, we continued to work closely with Amanda's family to provide answers, and the case was ultimately submitted to Unsolved Mysteries with the hope that new public attention to the case could resolve any outstanding doubt once and for all. Our investigators are incredibly determined to have recently closed some of our most challenging unsolved cases. Whether investigation is a week old or 30 years old, we remain relentless in our pursuit of justice and continue to dedicate resources so that no stone is left unturned. Anyone with information about Amanda's death or any homicide investigation is encouraged to contact us. Any new information regarding this event, we'll continue to investigate. I'm open to any questions.
How unusual is it to turn to a streaming service like Netflix to try to solve a homicide?
Yeah, it's a unique situation in here, but this is one of those cases that just has unsolved questions in the investigation.
If they believe her death to be accidental, why would they continue with the investigation and then hand it in to Unsolved Mysteries? If you rule it accidental, then it's not really a mystery, is it? What are you going to do? Ask Amanda to come back from come back to life and tell you how she fell? And if you do think it's an accident, it's not like there's a random prowler that was inside the house at the time that was like, hey, yes, I'm the local peeping Tom. I was looking inside her house at the time that she fell, and I've now come forward because I want to be a witness. I'm confused about where the motivation comes from if they do indeed believe it is a accidental death.
Mind. So it was an opportunity where we could work with a broader agency outside of just local Calgary media to span out there, get more attention, and maybe provide some answers.
Is there a hope that you're going to get some kind of feedback from the public from this to bring it, bring it forward in front of a public that maybe hasn't thought about this in, 9 years, and maybe get some kind of investigative leads going again?
Yeah, all our cases, if we haven't solved them, remain open. And 9 years have passed, like you mentioned. So there's an opportunity that maybe there is somebody out there that's been holding on information that knows something. And now, after the years pass, recognizing that it hasn't advanced, that they will do the right thing now and maybe come forward. Somebody that's been holding it tight and it's been bothering them, here's an opportunity for them to come forward.
They can't believe it's accidental. They can't, not with this type of attitude. Oh, we're hoping someone comes forward and tells us what they know. I I struggle to believe that they think it's accidental because what is with this type of demeanor? This demeanor is like for someone who was murdered and that they don't have a lead for it. And they're looking for someone who they think someone out there has information but has not come forward yet because of other investigative work they've done tells them that more than one person knows what happened. That's sort of what it feels like here. But uh, if someone did come forward, would they be open to changing her cause of death? That's what I would like to know. Okay. Yeah, I would like to know what's going on with it.
We had a chance to look at some of the Netflix stuff earlier on. Some of the images and stuff that we wouldn't normally see in the Calgary media here, a little more, say, bloody than we normally would there. What's sort of the trade-off? What are sort of the discussions to trade off to put that evidence in front of the public, but then maybe also protect the case as well?
Right. I think there's the photos in this scene speak to what the investigators and the shock that we had originally. I was a detective on this investigation, working with Detective Sweet at the time, and it's a graphic scene, no doubt, and that's what kind of brings those questions to light, like what happened down here. We don't typically see this in a regular fall, so that speaks to why this is so unsolved, or why there's so many questions that do remain outstanding.
I guess final question for me. Obviously, coming to some kind of conclusion earlier on here about it being a fall down the stairs, what remains in both of your minds to maybe give some indication there's still an unsolved element of this incident?
Yeah, it's very, very strange circumstances, and I know as an investigative team, there was different theories going back. Could this have happened? Could that happen? Ultimately, we follow the evidence. And what the evidence showed us at the end of the day is that Amanda was in the basement by herself. There's no other evidence that spoke to anybody else being down there with her. Um, but when you look at this on the front, it shows that it looks like an assault occurred here. And that's what I think all investigators believe right off the hop. But as we pick it apart and go through the steps of the investigation, we've taken that piece away of it. But there's still these lingering questions that you see in the show. Maybe like the chair upturned upstairs, the phone upstairs, things that don't make sense. Why didn't Amanda go up the stairs? I think that's one of the biggest ones in my mind over all these years. If she was injured and in the basement, why not go back upstairs?
Then if that's true, why tell anyone you think it was an accident? Why not just keep the case open as unresolved or, can't be determined yet? Why label it anything at all ever? If you think the scene of the crime tells you one story, but the actual minor details or like the smaller details of the victim paint a different story, then you don't really have answers to anything. Not the like you may know the manner of death, sort of, or the cause of death, I mean, but you don't really know the manner. Is it homicide? Is it, you know, something like that? So I don't understand why they labeled it as anything. They could have just left it like a million other cold cases that we've seen and talked about. They just refuse to tell you a manner of death. They're just like, we don't know. We're not sure. So until we are sure, we're not gonna label it with anything. I think labeling it as an accidental death, if you don't believe that, then you're detracting from the investigation. It's almost like the only reason you do that is to give the family some sort of peace and comfort, but it's almost like false peace and comfort because you're now doing a press conference and sending the case to Unsolved Mysteries because you're saying you still have lingering doubt about that, determination. Very confusing.
Any other questions?
Dave, anything to add to that?
No, I was free.
Has CPS ever worked with like Unsolved Mysteries or anything then before? How unprecedented is it, or is it precedented? Did you work with like an American production place or a show like this?
I think this is the first time we've been on Unsolved Mysteries. There has been other cases where we've done shows with other agencies. Obviously, Calgary Police is featured prominently in Crime Beat, and there has been some episodes of True Detective in the past that we've participated in. So I think this is the first time for Unsolved Mysteries, though, and maybe it's a unique opportunity if we need to reach a broader audience and we have cases that are unsolved or we need more assistance on.
All right, that was the press conference in relation to the episode coming out on Unsolved Mysteries yesterday. My view after watching that is I don't think they believe it was accidental. I think they just don't have another direction to go in, and they just don't know what to do. I implore you, if you haven't watched the episode, Find it on your favorite true crime video hosting platform if you have one of those where people upload it to Facebook or whatever. If you don't, it is available on Netflix if you have a Netflix account. I'm pretty sure it's up in all regions right now and you can watch it. I think it's episode 4. I think that's right. Hold on. The episode is called The Body in the Basement. Yes. No. It's Unsolved Mysteries Volume 4, Episode 2. So if you haven't watched it, give it a watch tonight or tomorrow and let me know. DJ, it's funny you should say that. In the video from the time of the death, they're in the street at night and there's this weird glowing light that hovers about 30 feet above the street. I swear to God, I kid you not, that it's freaky. I've never seen one before. It just sits there like it's trying to provide light on the road or something. It's a weird. I've never seen anything like that before. Yeah, see, DJ, he knew it. So there was definitely some sort of unexplained, flying or hovering phenomenon. Yeah, it's very bright, lit up the street. You could see cars underneath it. Very strange, very strange. Yeah, give it a watch. I think it is a really, really good episode. That one and the one of the woman with the red balls in her eyes. I think that is a freaky case, but I believe them when they say they think it's part of some sort of body or organ trading. I think that's right. 100%. I think it sounds like she came from a funeral parlor or some sort of body trade place because who else would do that and why was she embalmed? So, poor lady, I hope they can eventually reunite her with the rest of her body and put her to rest in a final resting place with her name on a plaque. That would be good to give her name back instead of Jane Doe. She deserves better than that. I think we're just about done, are we? Oh no, we got time for one more? Okay. All right, we got time for one more. I'm going to do the one Gambler just gave me an update on. So we read about a lady the other day who was abducted. Here, man charged with murder after Markham woman's remains ID'd. And it says East Gwillimbury man is facing a charge of indignity to a dead body. This is the woman here. What's her name? Ying Yang or Zhang or Yang or Zhang. We had like 50 pronunciations the other night. A 26-year-old man is facing charges of second-degree murder and indignity to a dead body after the coroner's office confirmed that the human remains found during a search this week were those of the missing Markham woman. In a news release Thursday, York Regional Police said the man charged, and it was Changling Yang, is now facing upgraded charges. He was initially facing charges of kidnapping, forcible confinement, and aggravated assault. He briefly appeared at a virtual court hearing Thursday afternoon wearing an orange jumpsuit. He is expected to be back in court later this month. They say her body was found on Monday in the village of Kirkfield, roughly 140 kilometers northeast of Toronto. Police said investigators announced Wednesday that a body had been located and said at the time officers were waiting for the coroner to confirm its identity. The discovery was made on Monday around 5 p.m., police said, in the area of Palliston Road and Fennell Road. Investigators had been conducting a ground search in the area after a white van allegedly belonging to the accused was seen in that location. They said the body was located inside of a green bin It appears that there were other items that were discarded along with her remains before it was dumped at the side of the road. Dixon said the circumstances in which the body was found contributed to the indignity to a dead body charge, but he could not specify what sort of condition it was found in. While this is an absolutely horrible situation, this is insult to injury for the family. There's his van that they were looking for. Mr. Zhang, or Zhang, or whatever his name is, was last seen on July 25th around 10:40 a.m. at a wellness center. Oh no, that's her. Sorry. Miss Zhang or Yang was last seen on July 25th around 10:40 a.m. at a wellness center in the area of Woodbine Avenue and Steelcase Road in Markham. Her family reported her disappearance that evening after she failed to return home from work. Investigators are still working to determine her cause of death, as well as exploring any link or relationship between the two. They said at this time we do not have a full understanding of their relationship. Similarly, officers are still examining potential motives. At this time, it would be too early to speculate about a motive. Indignity to a body. Let's see, what is that? I know what the words mean, but what is that in actual Canadian law? Okay, let's go here. Okay. It is Criminal Code 180 to 186, and it says improperly or indecently interferes with or offers any indignity to a dead human body or human remains, whether buried or not. Huh, okay. That sounds like what it's supposed to. Doesn't give a lot of context though. It says neglects without lawful cause to perform any duty that is imposed on him by law or that he undertakes with reference to the burial of a dead body or human remains, or improperly or indecently interferes with or offers any indignity to a dead human body or human remains, whether buried or not. That's it. It says every person is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term of not more than 5 years in prison, or is guilty of an offense punishable on summary conviction, who those reasons that I listed before. Um, It doesn't give you a lot of details, but are they saying that maybe she was found nude or something like that? Yeah, I wonder what that means. Disposing of body basically to other stuff, maybe. Just Summer says, I think it's touching the body. Bye, Sean. Hey, Just Summers. Yes, I'll be on. I'll see. I'll see how many people want it. The last few late shows, no one's really wanted it, so it's almost been a waste of time. And I just not sure if we're going to continue with them anymore. I'll let you know, but the viewership and attendance on them has been really low over the last couple of weeks. So I'm just not sure. A lot more people watch the first show, and even on the replay, a lot more people watch the first show. Angela says, I kept looking last night. Sorry, I had to run. I was running really late for something, and I couldn't fit it in together, unfortunately. I meant to come back, and I just couldn't fit it in. Yeah, sorry about that. JDR says she was dead and he disposed of her body. That's all. That can be the charge in Canada. You don't have to desecrate the remains or anything. That's interesting. I didn't know that there was an additional charge that they could just do for that, for not disposing of, I guess it's similar to like not disposing of a human remains in, a proper way. We have that here, but it's a different charge. I appreciate that, Summer. I do. I know. Thanks, Maria. I appreciate it. I'll see if I can come back today. Okay, we'll see. Hopefully, we can. Can you please write a comment on your comments bit on your page? Yes, I can. Hopefully, Gambler. Hopefully. All right, I think we have to get out of here so Trish can get on. I will be. Well, hopefully, we'll come back for a bit of a late show this afternoon. Okay. Look for a live show after Trish. I'll see you then. Okay. I don't think we got any things to say thanks for. Hold on. Yeah, I didn't hear any beeping. I will see you. Have fun with Trish. I don't know what she's doing tonight, but I will catch you hopefully for a late show. All right, thanks. I will let you know, Angela. 10 minutes left, is it? Isn't it 30 past? Oh, 21. All right. Well, we could do one more. Sorry, I thought why did I think we were so far close to 10:30? I'm not sure why, but I thought we were way closer than we actually are. All right. We got one out of Florida. We're going to do this. I was going to save it for later, but it's okay. We can do it now. Yeah, watch the video and we'll talk about it.
A man in Osceola County is accused of throwing his 10-year-old daughter out of a car and leaving her on a busy roadway overnight. As West 2's Megan Mulatto tells us, random strangers stayed with her to make sure she was okay.
30-year-old Hector Serrano has been arrested after witnesses say he threw his 10-year-old daughter out of the car and left her on the side of US 192 in Kissimmee at around 12:30 in the morning Monday.
Something bad could have happened to the little girl. Anybody could have kidnapped her. She could become a victim of human trafficking.
Osceola County Sheriff Marco Lopez says it all happened in the area of Scott Boulevard. He says Serrano was allegedly arguing with the girl's grandparents before leaving her on the side of the road and telling her to walk to their house.
Mind you, this area is about 21 minutes from Grandma's house.
According to the arrest report, witnesses saw the girl, called law enforcement, and stayed with her to make sure she was okay. It says one witness saw Serrano appear to throw the girl out of the car and then throw her toys and clothes at her before speeding away. Sheriff Lopez says Serrano was found and arrested shortly after the incident.
Even the witnesses say she was scared, distraught, crying, confused. I would have been too if someone would have thrown me out of the car at that age.
He's now facing charges of child neglect.
Wolves exist, predators exist. You throw a little 10-year-old girl out in an area like that, it doesn't matter what time of the morning or day it is. That's a reckless, irresponsible act.
In Osceola County, Megan Mulatto, West 2 News.
So he threw his child out of the car and told her to walk to Grandma's house 20 minutes away, and she's 10. In a county which we know is Kissimmee, but also Osceola, we've heard so many bad stories out of these two particular places. I've read about, I must read at least 10 or 15% of all my stories unfortunately come out of this county. It just does. I read so many out of Kissimmee and Osceola all the time, and there's always bad things to do with little kids or people being shot or killed or other things. And they said here, the sheriff said the guy, he's 30 years old. He's been arrested after witnesses said he threw his 10-year-old daughter out of the car and left her on the side of US 192 near Scott Boulevard in Kissimmee. They said something bad could have happened to that little girl. Anybody could have kidnapped her. She could have become a victim to human trafficking. Not just that, someone could have hit her on the highway too. She's only little. People are driving quite quickly, and someone could have clipped her and killed her, while she was trying to walk to grandma's house. They said it all happened around 12:30 in the morning on Monday. That's when Serrano was allegedly arguing with the girl's grandparents, then left her there and told her to walk to their house. They said it's a 21-minute walk to grandma's house. And they said the arrest report says multiple witnesses drove past and saw it happen. One of them told deputies they saw Serrano appear to literally throw the girl out of the car and then throw her toys and clothes at her before speeding away. He was found and arrested shortly after the incident. They said he's now facing charges of child neglect. The sheriff says DCF is currently getting involved in the situation. I hope they can find somewhere better for her to go. Where's her mom? Does she not have a mom, or did the mom die or something? Does he have custody of her? This is all very odd. Let me see if Fox 35 Orlando has anything. They said a Florida man is behind bars after deputies said he left his young daughter on the side of a road in Osceola County and took off overnight. Hector Serrano Jr., 30, has been arrested and booked into the county jail on on a single child neglect charge. It doesn't say anything here about other family. Like, does she have other family, or? I don't see anything here about where she would go if she went into DCF or DFC or whatever they call it. Like, where would she go? Is there other family that would take her in, or the grandparents, or is there a mum somewhere? They said the roadway that she was dumped on is very heavily traveled, very touristy, pretty dangerous. They said the police said they get a lot of pedestrians hit by vehicles in that area. Here it says it was later discovered that she was thrown out of the vehicle by her own father because the grandparents were threatening to call law enforcement if he didn't drop her off. So he basically said, "You know what? Get out and walk to your grandparents' house." The sheriff said that would have amounted to a 20-minute walk. He called the behavior unacceptable and shameful. The young girl was later located. She was distraught at the time. She was crying and confused. She's a 10-year-old little girl. It's after midnight and it's dark out there. Yeah, so being so late at night, a child walking on a highway or whatever, they could have easily hit her, not knowing that she was walking down the emergency lane or whatever on the side, the shoulder. She could have easily been killed. There was a guy in Australia that was killed after his car broke down, and he was walking down the shoulder to try get to either a phone or a service station, and he got killed. His body and remains were scattered all over the roadway to the point where several to 20 other cars were hitting his remains for hours, and it took the cops a day, 2 days to clean up the highway. They had to close the highway. There wasn't much left of him. I think we've actually shown that story on here before. All right, we got 2 minutes to go. I'll see you for the late show. I hope you had a great show here tonight. If you didn't, well, hey, that just is the way things go sometimes. We can't be perfect every day. It's not possible. I'm sorry. Rachel says, "Thank goodness people saw her and helped her." I know. What good Samaritans are nearby. Hey, I do love you all. I will Oh, Peekaboo, you didn't have to send anything. Peekaboo, thank you. I appreciate it. It's very kind. She says, "Ping, I so appreciate what you do. Thank you." I appreciate you guys for the people who show up here every night. They're the ones I like. But thank you very much. It is very kind of you. Um, we are still working on on the new new starting video, but I've run into some hurdles with it. That's why I asked if anyone was a video editor out there. I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm bad at, and I've run into some hurdles that I need some help with. So if anyone is, contact me sundaywithping@gmail.com. I want to finish this video and get it uploaded so we can use it. Anyway, I love you all. We'll be back for the late show. I will see you then, okay? Have fun with Trish. Bye. Bye-bye.